And good afternoon to everyone here present. Let me, with humility, but also with special privilege, to acknowledge the presence of other political parties here. As Mr. Mani has pointed out, we have PPP, with whom we have already formally agreed to form a coalition with. We also have ADD and PAP, and we are glad that they are gracing this occasion with their presence, which for me is very significant, and it's a good omen for the Gambia, and we believe that from here we'll all be treading the same path. And let me acknowledge the presence of the deputy party leader and some of our grateful soldiers who are here with us, as well as the members of the press. Let me thank you for your attendance at this press conference on very short notice. Today, the United Democratic Party wishes to update the Gambian people on our review of the recently concluded 2026 supplementary voter registration. Our objective is simple: to promote transparency, strengthen public confidence, and ensure that all stakeholders have confidence in the integrity of our electoral process. Prior to the commencement of the supplementary voter registration in April 2026, a United Democratic Party delegation led by myself and senior members of my party met with the executive leadership of the IEC. The purpose of that meeting was to address outstanding concerns from previous exercises, clarify procedures, and strengthen safeguard measures that would buttress the voter registration process. During that meeting, we raised several issues relating to the prevention of multiple registration and explored possible technical solutions. We offered to make suggestions that could support efforts to eliminate, or at the very least, minimize multiple registrations. The Commission informed us that implementing such a system before commencement of the exercise would not be feasible due to time constraint. Throughout the registration exercise, the UDP deployed agents across the country to observe the process and collect registration information. Following the completion of the exercise, our IT team analyzed the data collected by the party and the data made available to read by the IEC. The IEC publicly announced at a monthly IEC Stakeholders Forum held at Kairaba Avenue, Kairaba International Conference Center in June 2026 that 212,095 Gambians registered during the supplementary voter registration exercise. Following a detailed analysis of the voter registration data set initially provided by the IEC, the UDP discovered discrepancies between the data. The data provided by the IEC to the political parties showed that total of 445 registered voters. That is a differential of 32,650. After some protests and representations made to the IEC admitted that those registered on 8th of April had been omitted from initial publication. Consequently, the list was updated with an additional 3,713 voters. That is a cumulative total of 183,163 voters. This still leaves a discrepancy of 28,932 voters. The IEC claims that another 14,334 representing multiple registration should be deducted from the 28,932. In our own analysis, that will still leave an uncounted number of 14,598. Our technicians will provide you with details of their findings. On July 16, the UDP wrote formally to the IEC, requested the total registration data before deletions, the number of duplicates removed, the final register after deletions, and the complete data sets before and after adjudication, that is reconciliation of the figures. We also requested an extension of the scrutiny period to ensure that political parties and the general public have sufficient time to examine the complete register once it is made available to ensure transparency, clarity, and credibility of the editorial of the electoral data. The UDP met with the IEC earlier this month today, and the team will brief you on the outcome of the meeting. We asked for the extension of time because the information that the IEC was given had been piecemeal. The pasting of the list and various public places was all not done at one time. There were a significant number of people who were omitted. We did not have any problem for the omissions because anyone who feels that your name was omitted could go to the IEC within 14 days and get your name inserted in the register. But we do have problem with the objections because if the complete list of voters is not published, how on earth can anyone take objection to any person who is ineligible to have his name entered on the voters list? And we reckon that the objection, or at least the period for filing the objection, should commence from the date that the complete list was given. You cannot make it happen when you had a huge number of people whose names were, a huge number of people who did not have an opportunity to scrutinize the list because those lists were not published in any public place. So this is why we do ask for an extension of time, and that extension of time, we believe that the IEC should really concede to it. We are not asking it for the UDP. We are asking this for not for any political party, but also we are asking for so that IEC's own integrity will not be questioned by anyone, because it is wrong with the story. Yes, they gave half list because they wanted to get involved in dubious activity. We are not saying such thing, but we want to prevent any such insinuation, any such deduction being made by anybody. That is why we're asking for an extension of time. And we are also making it quite clear to the IEC that the time runs not from the 7th of June, but from the 8th of June. Because I have it on the authority of the Interpretation Act, which is applicable to all notices, and is applicable to all proclamations, to all laws, that when an event is not going to be done in days, the day that is happened is always excluded. So the 7th of June, while the Interpretation Act should be excluded, and even if they do not give any extension, the proper time or the date on which the last day on which the objection should be filed would be tomorrow, the 21st of July. But let me be absolutely clear: the UDP is not alleging fraud or wrongdoing on the part of IEC. We are simply asking for a full reconciliation of the figures so that all political parties and the Gambian people can have the confidence that the electoral register accurately reflect and to working constructively with the IEC and all stakeholders. This is not about politics. It is about protecting the confidence of every Gambian voter in the democratic process. Our objective is not confrontational, and I will ask all our supporters in dealing with this matter not to be confrontational at all. Our objective is confidence building, and I ask every member of the United Democratic Party to engage in the debates in this matter with the sole objective of building confidence in our electoral system and not to castigate anyone and impute any wrongdoing to any person. This I ask all our foot soldiers, all our people who are on various forums releasing audios, that we are not saying IEC has done anything wrong. We are saying that let us get to work together so that where corrective measures could be done, we will do so to the satisfaction of all of us, and we believe that if we do so, IEC's integrity will be shored up. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Not usable, you go to IEC and you have a replacement. Some people didn't understand that. They just went out to register again. And that is not correct because the law doesn't allow that. That is dual or several multiple registrations. So those cases have been detected. Some other people knew that they needed to be, say you're currently residing in the Greater Banjul area and you registered in Basse, but you now live here and you've lost your card. Instead of having to go to Basse and do it, some did it here because they didn't want to pay to go to Basse, etc. There were several cases. But for some, we did detect that they registered under several names or several identities within the Greater Banjul area and elsewhere. That was intent to commit fraud. Some changed names, some changed ID documents. So these cases have been detected, and that is what came to 24,334 cases. And that was committed by 14,334 people. So this is where the problem came. What do we do with those cases? We are still working with the IEC to isolate the cases of outright fraud. People who are involved in outright fraud could be prosecuted. Those who made mistakes or were lazy will get some form of amnesty. So this is where we are, but we are still working with IEC as stakeholders. And that is not just UDP, it's all the political parties in the country who have been invited to that forum to discuss with IEC. We had a meeting with them about 3 weeks ago, and we're continuing. So that work is ongoing. In the meantime, the voter register has to be sanitized, and it has to be made reliable. Out of the 212,095 registered Gambians, IEC decided that they were going to deduct the 14,334 who were involved in multiple registrations. But before that, when the registration was completed, all the political parties were handed flash drives with the number of people registered. And as we keep saying all the time, we have a very robust and sophisticated IT system. We envy nobody with that, not even the IEC. We have a very robust system. And we fed that data into our software, and we found out that the number on that software that was given to us, to the flash drive, came to 179,000 and a few. 179,000 registered Gambians on that flash drive, as opposed to the 212,095, which means that there was a discrepancy of about 32,000 between what was registered and announced by the IEC and what was provided to us in the flash drive. When the protests were made, essentially by UDP, we were given a second list by IEC to say that there was a mistake. The list corresponding to the first day of the registration, that's the 8th of April, was not captured in what was released. So the IEC released a second set of data on the 13th, and that comprised 3,713 extra voters who were not captured in the initial list. Now, when you deduct that from the total, we came to 183,000 people who were registered. So out of 212,000, we have 179 that we had on the flash drive, plus 3,713 that IEC gave as a supplementary list. That leaves a total of 183,000 and a few hundreds. Now, the question is, if you deduct 183,000 from the 212,000, we are still left with a differential of 28,000 people unaccounted for. So we asked the IEC, what is the explanation, the justification for that? We were told 14,334 people who are involved in the multiple registration were also deducted from the total. And that would leave still a total of 14,000 people unaccounted for. Because 14,334 deducted from the 28,000, we still have 14,000 people unaccounted for. So our question to IEC was, can you explain to us where these 14,000 have gone? What is the justification? Today, at the request of our party leader, we went to IEC, we had another meeting with them. And in that meeting, I was with Mr. Larry Sise here, Modou Sarr, who is currently not here, and now one of our IT specialists. We had that meeting with them and we went over a number of things. And we were promised that we're going to continue working on that to clarify the situation. As the party leader said, our objective is not to say that IEC was involved in fraud or any wrongdoing. What we want is to understand where the additional 14,000 are. And IEC has told us that they are working with their IT experts so that we all get the same number and the figures explained. That's all we want. Because what we want is to have free, fair, and credible elections on the 5th of December, where nobody can contest, nobody can say, I was cheated out of victory. But we have lived this situation before. So that's why we are being careful. And today we are happy to see some of our sister political parties join us in this exercise. What we want to do from here is to continue working with IEC to establish everything that needs to be told to the Gambian people. Another issue we discussed with IEC is the deadline for submitting petitions about the people who were found to be suspicious during the registration exercise. IEC, as the party leader said, gave a first set of data on the 7th of July. And that was supposed to be the day from which the deadline would start. And the law says that up to 14 days after the publication of the list, we could put in petitions. And that deadline was supposed to be tomorrow, 21st of July. Unfortunately, there was a misunderstanding. IEC claimed that it was supposed to have been today, the 20th. But after long discussions with them, we made them understand that the 7th could not count because the 7th was the day it was published, so the counting started from the 8th, so which will mean that the deadline will be tomorrow, 21st, not today, 20th. So we more or less came to an agreement on that, but it's still pending a bit. But the fact is that that is overtaken by events. Because the IEC published a second data set on the 13th, including the 3,713 which were omitted from the initial data because this corresponded to the people who allegedly were registered on the 8th. So what we ask IEC is we want to see a full data set. The full data of those registered before any subtractions or manipulations. So we want to see the 212,095 in a database. We want to see the 14,000 who are allegedly involved in multiple registrations so that we can do our own checks. We want to see the 3,713 which, by the way, when we checked, it was 3,718, not 13, but 5 is, we can live with that. We want to make sure that those people also correspond to what is there for the 8th of April, when the registration started. So basically, what we're asking IEC is run us through your data, give it to us as raw data, which we also will exploit using our softwares we have developed. Because as we keep saying, from the 5th of December 2021, we started working on this to make sure that we have very robust, reliable, and impeachable software that will control every aspect of these elections, to make sure that nobody gets cheated out of victory, to make sure that every result is true and reliable and credible. So we have what it takes to do those controls. So we are asking IEC to provide us with that data, the raw data, which we will also examine and compare to what we have. Again, we are not suspecting them of fraud. We just want to be able to verify for ourselves so that when we leave, we can tell everybody that IEC has done the job they're supposed to do, and we move on from there. This is what we are trying to achieve: transparency, credibility, and fairness of the elections. This is our sole objective. So we ask all our colleagues in the party and outside the party, as our party leader has just said, to work along those lines. We do not want anything that is going to indicate that we are accusing anybody of anything. Gentlemen of the press, thank you very much for being here today again and for coming at a very short notice. And once again, we thank our Deputy Party Leader, Aji Yamsek, our colleagues from the PPP, Sehu Saho and Nene Yasin Seka, Malik Kamara from the ADD, and Mustafa Salah from PAP. We thank you all for supporting us through this exercise and for working, because our sole objective is to bring the country together on this and to make sure that we have data that can be supported by everybody, and we go to the elections with confidence that we have done what is required. Thank you all very much for coming, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening.